everyone, myself Manushri N and my team members are Chandrika, Subiksha and Simran are here to present our project, a patch antenna for Bluetooth, WLAN and X-band application using defective ground structure. Under the guidance of Mr. Banu Prakash Sir, Assistant Professor of TCE Department in BMSIT. An antenna is an electrical device that converts electric power into electromagnetic waves and vice versa. The antenna is the main component in wireless communication. For example, the two most important devices in our life is mobile phones and television. Both the devices rely on wireless communication.
Literature survey have revealed the following. Multiband antenna are not compact. Miniaturization of multiband antenna can be achieved using slots and DGS. By varying the dimensions of slots and DGS, obtained frequency can be shifted to useful frequency and return loss can be minimized. Gain can be improved using slots.
The objectives of our project is to design multiband antenna using slots and DGS, to analyze the performance of design antenna for different parameters like return loss and gain, to fabricate the simulated antenna and to test the fabricated antenna. The methodology we use here is we choose a compact size for the antenna and then start off with the etching of slots and DGS. And then varying the dimensions and frequency tuning. This is how we achieve the multiband antenna.
The front view and the back view of the antennas are as shown in the figure. The dimensions are 40 x 40 x 1.6 mm. The grey part on the front view indicates the substrate, which is FR4 epoxy, whose dielectric constant is 4.4. The yellow part indicates the patch and the feed. The back view consists of the ground plane in grey color and the yellow portions are the slots, where an L-shaped and I-shaped slots are etched. This graph plotted here shows the obtained frequency along with their S11 parameters. These frequencies are 2.6, 5.2, 7.3 and 9.4 GHz. Next, we have the VSWR graph. The desired value is 1.6. All the VSWR values for each frequencies fall under 1.6. These figures indicate the gain obtained by each frequencies. These are the radiation pattern that we obtained for each frequencies.
Currently, we have been working on publishing a paper for this design and plagiarism is in progress. And these are the few papers we used as references.
Thank you.
Good morning. I am Ramya U. Kashyap. Our project guide is Professor Raghunandan G.H. Sir. Today, we'll be talking about our project, which is UAV-based Areca nut cutter. So to begin with, the Areca nut trees have an average height of 13 meters, which is about 98 feet tall. And once the Areca nuts ripen, it can only be harvested by climbing the trees and plucking them. This can be a very tedious process and it also requires skilled laborers. Thus, this project aims to build a mechanized system to eliminate the need of manual climbing. Now coming to the literature survey, we refer to a paper called An Automatically Controlled Drone-Based Aerial Pesticide Sprayer. This paper talks about the implementation of a device which is a combination of a quadcopter and a spraying machine that can be used to spray pesticides. So we intend to carry forward this idea to implement the Areca nut cutter, which will be a combination of a drone and a robotic arm. Now I request Prajwal to continue.
The principle that is used in the project is radio frequency transmission, where we control the drone and the robotic arm using the transmitter. We can harvest the areca nuts by flying the drone to the height of the areca nut tree and cut the areca nuts using the robotic arm fitted with a sharp blade. We also aim to develop on this project by installing a camera incorporated with image processing that will differentiate between ripe and raw areca nuts. Hence, the drone will detect and help us harvest ripe areca nuts. We will make use of artificial intelligence for the above process by programming the camera using multiple sample pictures of areca nut. Also, we are aiming to improve the interface between the farmer and the drone with the help of a mobile application that can be used to control the drone. In this way, a farmer with a smartphone can fly the drone and harvest with ease. This is our progress so far. Now we move on to the requirements for the drone. In the first picture, we can see brushless DC motor which will rotate the rotors. The lift required for the drone to fly is created by these rotors spinning at high speed. Now I request Vishal to take over.
Flight controller. It is the brain of the drone. It controls all the operations of the drone. The drone is programmed using the flight controller. Receiver and transmitter is a mode of communication between the pilot and the drone. ESC, electronic speed controller. It controls the flow of current to the brushless DC motors. The entire drone operation is powered by the lithium-ion battery which will be fitted on the drone. Now coming to the robotic arm. The main purpose is to create a robotic arm with real-time image processing using Raspberry Pi. The program is written in Python. A robotic arm is a mechanical structure with electric motors and end effectors. Like the human hand, arm consists of shoulder, elbow, wrist, and blades as end effectors to cut the air nuts. The arms can be made up of plastic, acrylic sheet, aluminium. The Raspberry Pi is a low power controller which uses a micro USB connection to power itself. In this project, we are using USB webcam to monitor the real-time object image on the Raspberry Pi. I request Nagvini to take over.
Hi, I'm Nagvini. UAV with a robotic arm has its application in two main fields. The first one being agriculture. UAV with a robotic arm can be used to harvest fields that grow on a higher altitude. And the second application is logistics or delivery. UAV with a robotic arm could potentially replace the current delivery system and could also prove to be quicker and more effective method. Now, these are the references used, and thank you.
Hi everyone. Our PBL topic is an automated waste segregation system using deep neural network. We are 5 members in a group and our project guide is Dr. Seema Singh. This is one of the article published in Times of India about the waste. This is the introduction why we need a waste segregation system. This is the overview. We are using an AI-based waste segregator that automates the segregation process and effectively classify the waste into different categories. These are existing solutions. The proposed system, in this system we are using a waste, classify the waste into 6 different categories, that is recyclable 1, recyclable number 2, etc. The waste that are fed into the systems are classified to their respective type by 3 fundamental stages: acquiring and processing of image captured of the waste material with the help of an onboard camera, classification done by neural network, the physical segregation of waste conducted by means of control mechanism. So this is the main diagram of our project. The waste is being entered from the funnel-like structure on the moving conveyor belt. The onboard camera captures the image of the waste, and with the help of convolutional neural network, the classification of the waste is being done by the system, and accordingly the motor starts working. For example, if the waste is of type plastic, then the motor nearby bin number 4 starts, and the limb connected to that motor block the waste on its path and direct it towards the bin number 4. So in this way the whole system will work. This is the block diagram of our project. This is the methodology. We are using 15,000 images for 6 categories and modification and retraining of pre-trained CNN and AlexNet. These are different categories of waste. This is the hardware specification of our project. This is about the waste segregation system. With the help of powerful deep layered neural network, convolutional neural network, a machine learning tool, high accuracy of segregation results can be achieved. The network must be trained for various waste categories using appropriate data sets, creation of database with 15,000 images for 6 categories, modification and retraining of pre-trained CNN and AlexNet. So this is about the convolutional neural network. This is the snippet of database. This is the application of our project, and these are some references.
These are the codes which we are using in MATLAB. First one is for webcam. This code is used to detect the images from webcam, and according to that it will label it. The second code is used to control the servo motor, which helps in collection of waste in respective bins. Third code is used to resize the image, as AlexNet processes the image in 227 by 227 by 3 configuration. And the last code is for real-time testing, which tests the code.
So this is how the webcam will scan the images and classify the images, as the labels are provided by the AlexNet.
Hello everyone. We, the students of BMSIT from Electronics and Telecommunication branch, have done a PBL on diabetic retinopathy detection. So basically, our wearable devices adopt the technology of biosensors and wireless data communication, which allow the individual to access and transmit information in all sectors. Already there are such inventions which detects individuals' heart rate and BP. Here we are trying to implement on detection of diabetic retinopathy. It is an eye disorder caused by diabetes. It is important task in retinal fundus image in eye. The early detection of this can eventually reduce the risk of blindness of a patient. Let us move on to the typical flowchart for detecting diabetic retinopathy. At first, we take retinal images as our input from some standard database, and then we perform pre-processing and segmentation of that captured image. After image enhancement, extraction of retinal parameters such as nerve fibers and blood vessels. After that, abnormal features are extracted and disease severity analysis is carried out to detect whether it is normal, mild, severe, or proliferative. Like this, we detect DR in 4 steps.
The first step in visualizing or detecting the diabetic retinopathy stage includes visualizing of image, which is done by using MATLAB, which is categorizing defective eye and the normal eye, and it is taken from the data store using IMDS, which is an inbuilt command of MATLAB. Then both are compared using image processing and then categorized under different from the source. The diabetic retinopathy detection and classification using image processing is done in several stages, which includes input of fundus image, then it is enhanced in green channel image, wherein the contrast of image is increased in CLA-HE image. After that, the morphological operation is done to get the edge detection at the final stage, where we can see segmented retinal blood vessels in a proper manner detected. Let's move on to some of the applications.
One of the main application is graphical user interface. Here in this diabetic retinopathy, the fundus images are collected will be in the form of .jpg, and these images are imported to the software for diagnosis, and the information of fundus images are collected in history table after the screening, and again the software is connected to Microsoft Excel to export the data which is collected in history table, and the images are grouped in sheets according to the classification. Here, the results shows that the diabetic retinopathy affects nearly 2/5 of the population. And here, some of the references which we referred for our project.
Thank you.
Greetings to everyone. We are group number 5 from 5th semester of ETA department. Our project is on implementation of Unitel design. It is evident that wireless networks are a dominant technology trend and are very widely used. Wireless sensor networks consist of sensor nodes, which have their own devices through which they detect the changes in the environment and they alert it to a system for taking the required action. But one drawback of the system is that there are security issues. Active and passive attacks might take place. So, to rectify this drawback, we are incorporating an SHA1 algorithm.
Here we are using a MATLAB as a tool for implementation of SHA1 algorithm. SHA1 algorithm is a cryptographic hash function. It produces a 160-bit, that is of 20-byte hash value known as message digest. A SHA1 hash value is typically a hexadecimal number of 40 digits long. These cryptographic hash functions are used to protect the data of information. It is commonly used cryptographic hash algorithms are MD5 and SH1. These are used in security applications.
The objective and the ideology, that is the summary. The establishment of links between nodes is a challenging problem in WSNs. So because of this resource limitation, symmetric key established is one of the most suitable for securing exchange in WSNs. The Unitel design overview. The Unitel design theory involves system of finite sets which on interactions have numeric properties. The Unitel set of T has a finite set of X of V points or elements, V subset of X called blocks, each block of size K.
The main reason that we are implementing the SHA1 algorithm into MATLAB is because the Unitel services that created SHA1 algorithm thus provides the key distribution property or mapping property that directly helps us to produce each of hexadecimal individual values for every message bit we have. So we have 5 different steps in which the whole message can be converted into hexadecimal value and transferred easily. So the message padding is basically one of the main aspect of Unitel design, which breaks down the message in terms of hexadecimal values that are unique. So every message requires a special verification through iteration statements. At last, the 512 digit is then profound with 32-bit of registers to get a 160-bit of output, whatever may be the message signal be. So let us see one of the examples for the conversion of towards hexadecimal value. We can see that we have a prototype function in which the required message has to be printed down, and we also have the output in terms of hexadecimal and decimal values. Thank you.
Okay, so today we are here to present our project iTrasher. Our teammates are Rushank, me, that's Karunya, Kuber, and Neeraj. So the guide we're working under is Mr. Raghunandan GH. He's an assistant professor in the Department of ETE. So now my teammates will just give a glance through the project.
Yeah, so this is the introduction slide. Waste management is very crucial in the present days. Recycling the materials is as important as disposing them in the correct manner. iTrasher is a project that satisfies both the requirements in a smart manner. It can be used in homes, and the manure generated can be used for the plants. The plastic waste can be sold to the vendors for recycling. Now, what is an iTrasher? iTrasher is an innovation that helps in the segregation of waste and converting them into useful products in a smart and efficient manner. This product has been designed in a way where it can be used by anyone without any hassle or any trouble. It also deals with two types of waste materials, plastic and organic waste materials.
The adamant rule proposed by the BBMP suggests that the waste must be segregated into three mandatory categories. So the first one is organic waste, which includes fruits, vegetable peels and leftovers, flowers, eggshells, banana leaves, etc. And moving on to the second category, the recyclable waste, which consists of paper cups, Tetra packs, bulbs, glass bottles, tin cans, etc. And the third is the reject or sanitary wastes, which include bandages, syringes, paints, blades, diapers, etc. We mainly deal with the organic and recyclable waste as we need special required permissions for reject or sanitary wastes. And moving on to some of the advantages of iTrasher. There is a reduction in collection cost as no money is to be paid to the BBMP trucks which collect waste, no missed pickups and reduced overflows. The waste generation analysis can be obtained in a graphical manner since everything is computerized. And since the iTrasher is a closed system, there won't be any emission of harmful gases into the atmosphere.
So these slides give a brief survey on the waste composition and the waste source. So from the first graph, it can be seen that more than 60% of the waste come under the organic waste category, 11% under sand and earth, 7% under plastic and 9% under paper. And hence iTrasher covers the major chunk of waste disposed. Coming to the source of waste, we can see that more than 50% of the waste is being originated in the residential areas, and hence our project focuses more on the usage in the residential areas, following which it can be used in markets and other commercial premises. Here we have a graph which shows the amount of waste collected per day state-wise, and we also have the amount of waste that is treated from the collected waste. So we can see that only 62% of the waste generated is collected, out of which less than 50% of the waste is treated, and hence this we can say how important it is to treat waste, and our project satisfies the need.
So
Moving
talking
on of the project.
So talking about the working, there are two departments, two compartments. in our project. The first one is the plastic waste compartment, and the second one is the organic waste compartment. Talking about the plastic waste compartment, as we can see that there's an inlet for the plastic waste to be put in, and yeah. And moving on to the inner structure of the plastic compartment, we can see a plate which is attached with screws. This mechanism helps in plastic waste. So we've also provided an outlet for the removal of the plastic waste after it's been crushed. So this is the organic waste compartment, which also has an input and an output. Looking at the inner structure of the organic waste compartment, we can see that there's a mixer and a shredder. So this shredder shreds the waste which is being put in, and the mixer grinds the waste and also mixes it when constant heat is provided simultaneously along with the microbes. So after the mixing is done, a plate slides and all the organic waste moves on to the tray and gets converted to the compost, and that's a removable tray, so which can be removed. So as you can see that the tray can be removed and the organic compost can be removed from the tray. Thank you.
Hello, myself Girish Kher, and our project is IoT based smart lighting system. So our guide is Miss Pritvayan, Assistant Professor ETE Department, and our teammates are Manoj Bhatt, Gautam Agde, and Chandan K. So let's go to the introduction part. The project aim is for designing and executing the advanced development in embedded systems for energy saving of streetlights. So basically, streetlights are controlled manually. A person or some manual source is need to on or off the lights during day and night times. So we have used lots of energy by this process. To avoid this, we have some advanced technology here. By this, streetlights are controlled automatically on during night times and off during daytimes. So we have some special feature here, so we can access it through internet also. So next, my teammate Chandan will continue.
Hello, I am Chandan. I am going to explain the literature survey of this project. Here the GSM technology is used, and it is helpful in manual switching off on of the street light using GSM. Here the system controls the intensity of the street light by dimming, and the brightness, the intensity on the detection of any object using PIS sensor. And here the paper is used, and the paper is focused on the necessity of the automated street light system, and this is a peculiar way of implementation with embedded system tools. And here the piezoelectric sensor is used to detect the movement of the object on the street instead of using IR sensor. And here the microcontroller is used as the brain to control the process involved. And this paper gives a solution to controlling the intensity of the light considering the movement on the road. And here are the requirements of this project. IR sensor, LDR, Arduino Uno, relay, rectifier, LCD, Wi-Fi module, and solar panel. And the next concept will be explained by my friend Manoj Bhatt.
Hello, myself Manoj Bhatt. It is the flowchart of our project. Then next we talk about methodology. The sensors is used to sense the real-time status of the solar panel, and it sends the current using the current sensor. And we attach the DC motor to the solar panel because LDR it is attached to it, and the solar panel receives the maximum intensity of the light at each instant, and the relay acts as an driver to the motor, and the Arduino is connected to the sensor, LDR, and relay, and analog signal from the sensor and LDR acts as an input to the Arduino, and the output signal is given to the relay. It is based on the LDR's input and solar parameters like power, current, and voltage parameters, which are calculated from the current signal, which is displayed on the LCD, and it is uploaded to the web server, and then we get the each and every information of the power usage by it using the web server. Then next topic will explain Gautam Megde.
Hi, I'm Gautam Agde. Here is the application of IoT based project: factory digitalization, product flow monitoring, inventory management, safety and security, quality control, and packaging optimization. Last one is logistic and supply chain optimization. And here is the reference of our project. Thank you.
Ding ding.
everyone. So this is the PBL presentation submission from group 10. The basic idea behind our project is that we'll use IoT to monitor a temperature of a certain thing, and the temperature will be displayed in your mobile phone or on a web page. So this is the literature survey. This is the methodology we used. And coming to the hardware requirements, we are using ESP8266 main board for the temperature monitoring system, and we'll use Python for the main code and HTML for the web page. And coming to the application, it has various applications, but the main thing we thought for this project is that in this corona time we can use this project, let's say, at an entry point to sense the temperature of a person, and you'll get the temperature at a distance without coming in contact in your mobile phone or your web page. It has also various industrial applications, and this is the reference we used. And this is our group. Myself, Sanket Sinha, Gayatri, Tipanna, and Danish. We have all collaborated to make this project possible. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Kanda and our project is Gesture Control Smart System for Deaf and Dumb. The communication between a dumb and a hearing person is really a challenging task. It's harder for both of them to communicate. So here we have tried to develop a tool which helps in building communication and making it easier for the deaf and dumb to communicate. We all know that hand gestures, facial expressions and body postures are the critical communication modes for them. So now what exactly the system does is that the interpreter makes use of the glove-based technique comprising of flex detectors and instrument sensors. When the hand sign of the controller matches with the pre-stored inputs, symptom has been found by the sensors.
Now coming to the methodology of the project, which can be further understood using referring the block diagram. Initially, the deaf or dumb person will perform some hand gesture which will be detected by the MEMS sensor, which will produce varying voltage, which can then be inputted to the gesture recognition PIC, which is going to be the Arduino board in our case, which is then fed into the display unit, which is LCD, and also the speech can be retrieved in the form of speakers. There are digital ports which has two modes of operation, coaching mode and operational mode. In coaching mode, the gesture is formed by the user. In operational mode, the information is being compared with predefined values. There are two ways of communication in which the deaf and dumb people will receive the text, whereas the normal people will be able to listen to the voice message. Now we will examine the code that we are going to load onto the Arduino board. We are using the MP6050 MEMS sensor. Then we have a setup function to do the initial setup. Then we have a check settings to check all the circuits and the pins are rigged up correctly. Then we have a function that performs a loop. As you can see, it reads all the analog pins. Then we have we use if statements and else if to see the axis and the flex value given by the flex sensors, which then can which detects the gestures and can be mapped onto a code.
Requirements for this project are the data glove, the microcontroller, MEMS sensor and LCD display. The data glove consists of two detectors, the flex sensor and the measuring device sensor. The output of the measuring device sensor is detected by the lean detection module, whereas the output of the flex sensors and overall gesture of hands is detected by gesture detection module. We use a microcontroller Arduino UNO R3 here. The values X, Y and Z plates gets stored in this board of Arduino. The MEMS sensor used here is the accelerometer that measures acceleration by measuring change in capacitance. The LCD display used here is connected to the entire system board. The voice message from the people is converted to text message and gets displayed in the LCD.
Literature survey. The first project is orientation sensing for gesture-based interaction with smart artifacts. Similar methodology was used, but instead of Arduino's microcontrollers. For communication between the deaf or dumb people with other deaf or dumb people and normally abled people. Can be used as a sign language learning device. Can be used to make games like dumb charades. Can be used in environments where sound does not propagate. Example, space, noisy places, etc.
Number plate detection. With rise in AI technology, image processing and detection has been developing rapidly. So today we are using MATLAB to detect number plate in car, which is very helpful in identifying and keeping records of car. Let me show you some random samples of a number plate. We will use random images of car with number plate to see if our program detects it. To do that, we will be using image processing. We are using image processing which convert a given analog image into digital image from a sensor and extract only the required number plate. We have written a code in MATLAB for detection of number plate of cars. This is a quite a lengthy program, so we'll put it in a nutshell. Actually, digital image algorithm can be used to convert signals from an image sensor into digital image. It improves the clarity and removes noise and other artifacts. Let me run the program. We can see here, this is the number plate, and here we get the output which is exactly the same. And in the program we can see here image1 PNG. This is nothing but the address of our image, which you can see it here. This is the image1. It is just a basic program. We can further develop it and add to it.
Hello everyone, this is Bhargav. This is a PBL demonstration of our team. The PBL project is development of sensors based compost mission using electronic control unit and IoT. And this is the introduction. Our project is mainly based on waste management. With the world population increasing, the amount of waste generated also increases. To deal with increase in waste management is necessary. So, actually waste management deals with different types of waste, including household waste, industrial waste, etc. To contribute to the environment, and alternative is the processing of organic waste into compost. Composting is the delicate procedure of supervised decomposition of organic waste, which gradually transforms waste to nutrient-rich manure. This is our project, development of compost mission. So composting is the breakdown of organic matter with the help of microbial living organisms. For these microbial living organisms, they require 4 equally important components to function efficiently. They are carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and water. So now cycle literature survey.
After reviewing several papers and reports, most of them are focusing on the reduction of the waste by composting. But composting is a process that requires continuous monitoring because if ignored, the compost will not be produced. Usually it was done manually by humans as they check the compost every now and then. With the advancement of technology, the constant human monitoring system is being replaced with an automatic monitoring system which takes care of entire process. Composting is very tedious process which requires constant monitoring but is a big problem solver for the environment. The aim is to produce compost in a fast, efficient, economical method. Now Abhishek Reddy will tell about methodology.
Myself, Abhishek Reddy. I am presenting methodology and construction of the project. The layout of the compost machine is shown in the figure. It can be seen there is a hopper and a shredder motor with a shaft with as a blades connected inside the chamber. The outlet pipe, a garage chamber, and the temperature sensor, soil moisture sensor, and ultrasonic sensor is also inside the module, which is fixed inside. The hopper and shredder is used to the shedding the waste into smaller particles. The microcontroller is used is ESP32 is the brain of the compost machine, which gives instruction to the various sensors and the actuators present. The ultrasonic sensors measures the height and the height of the waste.
Hi, this is Mohan sir. I am telling about requirements for our project. As the compost process happens, the temperature and moisture content of the compost pile is detected by the DHT11 sensor and transmits this data to microcontroller present in the electronic control unit. When the temperature increases, the microcontroller sends a signal to the relay, which switches on the motor for a set period of time until the normal conditions are achieved. So the same is done if the moisture content or humidity of the compost pile is higher than usual. The ideal moisture content should not exceed 50%. Therefore, the mixing is done by the motor, which has a shaft attached with blades or arms which run through the length of the cylinder. There is one application, that is the new trend of the terrace gardening and indoor gardening has been gaining popularity over the last few years, and many small scale farmers require quality compost. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is group number 8. As a part of our PBL project, we have made automated dry waste classification and segregation system using neural networks. Today, a huge amount of solid waste is generated in urban areas. The waste consists of many types that require different ways of treatment. Hence, this mix cannot be treated all at once. The segregation of waste in has been attracting researchers from all fields as valuable materials can be lost beyond recovery. Now, this technique is used to segregate material properly. Objective of this project is to capture image of single waste material effectively and identify it and segregate into the respective bin. We have classified it into two classes. One is recyclable and the second one is organic. The model which we have used here is convolutional neural network, a machine learning algorithm which helps in processing and analyzation of data and images to properly classify them as organic or recyclable. We have used 25,000 image dataset from Kaggle to train our model in Python. As a part of hardware, the segregation part is done by robotic arm in form of servo motor, which segregates the waste in the respective bin. Using Arduino, we are able to control the robotic arm direction, and using IC L293D, it is controlled on both the direction at one time. Then we have the hardware part here. We use an Arduino which drives the servo motor in a particular direction. Hence, the webcam takes image and classify it as organic or recycle them. The arm carrying the waste moves in the direction of the respective bin carrying the waste and dumps it accordingly. Though this whole process, there is no interference to even touch the garbage, which is the best part of this model and today's generation automation techniques. Based on this prediction of the model, the machine code 1 is for organic, the arm moves on the left side. 0 is for recycle, the arm moves on the right bin. Each bin is connected with LED, and when the waste enters, it glows and finally returns to the initial state until no garbage is there.
As we can see here, our motor, and this is the camera, and let's place this bit of peel between the cameras, and when it captures the image and I run the model, when we see this, it's dumped into the organic waste. Now I'll be using a paper bit, as you can see here, and I will run this model. What happens, we'll see which type of waste is it. As we can see, it's classified as recyclable waste. So now basic libraries and layers from the Keras, as Kera is an open source library. Then comes the test data,
I have tested two images, random image from my dataset, which includes 25,000 images. Then comes the convolution neural network, which has 3 layers in this. After that, from the training set, I have fetched the data, which is called as the test data and the data sets. Then this is the learning rate. This level learning rate are 4. And what happens next is we need to test an image. So this is, as you see, this is a cardboard or a paper bit, and we are going to recognize this by using its low. I have the Arduino connected here. As you see, the output will be low and high. High will be for organic, and the other side will be for recycling. It's done the compiling process.
Hello everyone, today we are doing wireless mobile battery charger. Portable electronic devices are very popular nowadays. Like they all must be recharged using wired chargers currently being used as the usage of portable electronic devices is increasing, the demands of longer battery devices are also increasing. These batteries need to be recharged and replaced periodically. It is a hassle to a charger or charge the battery after a while, especially when there is no power outlet. And now instead of plugging in a cell phone, we are using a wireless charger. This is the emerging technology in our day-to-day life. With the introduction of mobile phones, life has changed rapidly. It is a dream of the radio engineering. Mobile phone merged landline telephone systems. These days, mainly advantages in the mobile phones were introduced.
This circuit mainly works on the principle of mutual inductance. Power is transferred from transmitter to the receiver wirelessly based on the principle of inductive coupling. Inductance is a property of conductor in which the current flowing in the conductor induces voltage or electromagnetic force in it or in another nearby conductor. There are two types of inductance: self-inductance and mutual inductance. Mutual inductance is a phenomena in which when a current carrying conductor is placed near another conductor, voltage is induced in the conductor. This is because as the current is flowing in the conductor, a magnetic flux is induced in it. This induced magnetic flux links with another conductor, and this flux induces voltage in the second conductor. Thus, two conductors are said to be inductive coupled. These circuits require only resistors, capacitors, diodes, voltage regulator, copper coils and transformer. In our wireless battery charger, we used circuit, that is a transmitter circuit used to produce voltage wirelessly. The transmitter circuit consists of DC source, oscillator circuit and a transmitter coil. Oscillator circuit consists of two N-channel MOSFETs, IRF 540, 4.
Here is the advantages of the wireless battery charger. Usage of separate charger is limited and phone can be charged everywhere and anytime. It does not require wire for charging, easier than the plug into power cable. Thank you.